There were some things that are essential to say at this moment in time, and I will try and say them the best as I can. We as a nation, as the people in this state, in this nation, are going through a very, very tough time in this state. Our health service is collapsing to the ground with corruption, with doctors not knowing what to do, with the lack of resources and the lack of training, and loads of cover-ups in the Department of Health as well. I don't think if Mr. Faragher or Michael D. Higgins himself had his wife or had his daughter going through the Soviet scandal and wasn't told that she was going to die, I wonder how would they feel. Because they wouldn't know, because their wife and their daughter would be getting the best of the treatment in this state, and the only Irish worker, the only Irish woman will be left to die herself, and not with the best doctors in this state, and will be left in a hospital trolley, in a ward, in a hospital, in somewhere. And this is just the bare truth to the government of this nation, which I tell everybody now who's listening, and God forgive me for saying this, but this government is a pure disgrace to our race, to our Irish nationalhood, to every one of our citizens. This government is like the British government during the famine, during the oppression against the British Empire. But the only thing is, we weren't there, people, when the British Empire would take over this country. And today we are Irish people under our own government, and our own government is not solving the Irish people as they should be solving them, because they're too busy worrying about their wages, about their lives. And they do not realise, as Taoiseach and as President and all the ministers, that they're under everything they decide will affect the Irish people. If it's decrease the Garda forces on the streets, we will increase crime, we will increase racism, and will increase all that. They do not understand that things they do have consequences, and do not always have consequences. I really hope all the ministers in the government understand that, because I don't think at this moment in time, in this moment and place, in this state, that they even know that they're in government and that they're in control of 4 million people on this island. And the fate of 4 million people's jobs, livelihoods, health, protection, housing, food and everything is under the government of this country. And the reason we all can survive now is because the government is trying to do things, but they're not doing all the good things they should be doing, and they're too busy licking up to Brussels, to the United Kingdom and to America. May I ask Mr. Faragher if he's watching this? During the famine, we lost 1 million of our population, and still to this day has never recovered population in this country. And they never worried about any other country in the world, they were only worried about themselves. Because there was a national emergency going on in Ireland, and they did not care because nobody else cared for them. So we did not care for them, and they did not care for us. And I don't see Brussels standing up for our rights as Irish citizens and as European members. I would like to ask Mr. Farquhar, does he think he's playing in the playground with sandcastles? Because to be honest with you, people say he was a doctor and he was a doctor. I don't think he understands in his mind and his sandbox that he doesn't know how to build castles and how to build stone walls against corruption in his own government and in this state. Because stone walls of steel is useless. Stone walls with bricks are the best type of walls that will keep out corruption from slithering in. And also, they will bring jobs, if there was stone walls, to the people who are trying to build them. In other words, saying there's so much unemployment in this country and young people coming out of college and can't get work and has to go to different countries. I'm more or less saying that, if you don't understand me, Mr. Taoiseach. As I say many a times and I say it again, the Irish people have suffered through famine, through occupation for 700 years. And we will never surrender to a foreign government, to our government if they're being corrupt, to any people who decide to go against the state, to undermine the people of Ireland, because the only reason they're in government and Mr. Farquhar is getting his big wallet and his big checks is because he was elected in by the Irish people and by the county he serves. And the same with all the TDs in the Dáil and in the Shannon and in Preston Higgins too. They were elected in by the people and for the people, as Abraham Lincoln said. And may I say when I have the chance that Abraham Lincoln, if we could have him in this country now, instead of this corrupt president we have that won't say a thing on national interests, instead of worrying about other people who die in other countries and not worrying about what happens in this country. Because he is president of Ireland, not president of Cyprus or of Syria or of Iran. With him worrying about them and taking them into this country, we do not have the space. We do not have the space to hold our Irish people, let alone people from other countries. And if he wants to be president of Syria or Iran, then all due respects to the president. He can get on a boat and he can stay over there because he's no good in this country. He was elected to help the people, to serve the people, to protect the people as head of the army, and he can barely give the army money to survive. The ones that go out peacekeeping for the UN and getting rabbit money for risking their lives for a flag and for a country, and for this country especially, I salute them. But on Nuclear the Heron, the President of Ireland, does not salute them and just shits on them. And that's purely the truth. I would like to say to Taoiseach or the President who's watching this, or anybody who's watching this from the government, because I know some of yous will, because oftentimes yous have commented on what yous wanted and what yous wanted me to shut up about. And let me tell everyone in the government now, this is a democracy and will always remain a democracy where the freedom of speech and the freedom of liberty will reign in this country and forever in this country until the day this country is taken over by a foreign empire or a foreign government. We should never surrender. As I said before, the Irish people will always prevail. It might take 50 years, it might take 70 years, it might take 100 years, but we will make our government better, no matter the cost, no matter if we have to tear apart our own government to make it better, and not to solve the rest of the world and to solve the Irish people. Gola Mia Margaret, and thank you very much.